According to one writer on one site using a pretty arbitrary stat, the Titans are #1 in the NFL at something. Party down. I won't say what because we're all about to tease. What did we learn in week 2 of the preseason? If you turn the ball over 5 times on the road, you usually lose. When you allow backup quarterbacks to complete 100% of their passes, that's my educated guess from what I saw, and you let Mark Ingram beat a safety like a rented mule in a pass reception for a touchdown, you usually don't win. I'm sure the Titans are working on that thing called coverage and are going to actually super glue the ball to the people's hands for next week's game as part of their prep. But who cares? Justin Hunter, UT guy, 2 touchdowns, woohoo, fantasy, fantasy. Oh my, see, who can
What?
concentrate now?
I
So,
had to show my YouTube. I mean, I'm wearing this just for you, Zach, and for Justin Hunter.
of course, in honor of that school. Let me see. I have a Tennessee joke. I could try it on you, see if you like it.
Oh no,
Come
no, we were
on.
doing no. Okay,
How many Tennessee fans does it take to screw on a light bulb?
I give up.
None, but they'll tell you how good the old one was.
I actually like that. That's that's pretty true.
I sent that to my father-in-law for his birthday because he's the biggest UT fan that I know, well, at least tied for first. He was on the Lane train and the dually jalopy and whatever Butch Jones is driving. So, go team. But hey, Titans. So let's see, it was Grantland, Bill Barnwell, who doesn't insult the Titans like some writers. He just says they're really boring. Did like a calculation and determined that the Titans are the fastest team in the NFL. Although fastest is basically based on 40-yard dash times and age-adjusted things. So they have really fast guys who might not be exactly where they need to be. Is that any solace to you at all as a true blue, two-tone blue fan?
I don't know what that. I mean, no offense to Bill Barnwell. I'm sure that it was a. I have not read the article or anything. I'm sure that it was very well written and whatever, but I'm not sure what that means. So, I mean, they have drafted some fast players. Kind of interesting that they still are that team without CJ424K, whatever.
Yeah, I guess he slowed down. I don't know. I always wondered what the point was of having like a 40-yard dash for like an offensive lineman because it's very rare that they run 40 yards anywhere.
Taylor Lewan didn't he run the best 40 time of all offensive linemen?
And that was when he was running from the cops.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I don't know. But hey, Justin Hunter. That's the guy I remember from the game. And possibly the Titans need to game plan when the other team's first-round pick safety comes in on a blitz and they don't block him. But hey, it's just Charlie Whitehurst, right?
Completely unblocked. I mean, it was like, I forget, okay. I don't remember who was in the game at that point, but it was like, I mean, the offensive lineman was just like, you know what I mean? He was blocking somebody. I mean,
Basically, yeah, Kenny Vaccaro lined up outside the tackle. I don't know if it was tight end in the game. And there's definitely not a running back. I think the running back was on the other side of the field running a pass pattern, and he just basically plowed.
I mean, I don't think there were any. If there was a tight end, they were probably running an unbalanced set because I don't. If there was not a tight end on that side, if there was a tight end in that play, he was on the other end, and I just don't remember. I'd have to go back and look.
I don't think there's anybody who would have avoided that, and that's you get a safety who likes to blow up guys. Kind of like in the preseason. I mean, like Trey Mason.
The funniest part about that was Kenny Vaccaro celebrating like he'd really made some kind of big play. Dude, you ran untouched to the quarterback. Woohoo!
Yeah.
I mean, I would too. I'm just saying. It was. I was like, well, you know.
I mean, there were some good sides to it in that. I mean, Whitehurst got hurt, so you got to put Mettenberger in there. And
he's still not practicing.
I think he had 2 turnovers. Yeah, all of a sudden things have flipped. Like the Titans had 4 quarterbacks, and now they kind of have 2. So that could be a problem in the preseason games.
I think he's going to be okay. He had a pin put in his thumb. It doesn't sound serious. They're just being very cautious with him. I mean, shoot, he's held a clipboard for 9, 10 years. He's good at that.
I would just say take it easy in the arm wrestling for a couple weeks, especially with punters. Come on, it's a joke. What? It's not
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. Hold on. I'm slipping. I know. Hang on. Whoa. Let me get to this. Whoa. Hang on.
Feeling the love. Not so. Wow.
There you go.
So
that is what's messing it up. It is the Google Effects
app. It makes your screen shrink.
It does make my screen
shrink. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Me no like.
Well, we got to have our nice faux outrage when Jimmy Graham scored 2 touchdowns against, well, I'd say it's piddling coverage, but I don't know how many people can actually cover Jimmy Graham. There was 1 touchdown where I swear 4 Titans were around him, but none were really that close to him. So he dunked twice, and that's a penalty now. And some sports writers made it seem like the coach was pissed at him. And I was like, it's a preseason game, and I know he's getting fined for it, and I think he's making a point because I think he's the reason why they changed that rule. But, man, touchdown celebrations, I mean, you can't do anything anymore. It's so sad. You take the excitement out of the game.
Yeah, it is. It's the no fun league. They won't let you have any fun whatsoever at all anymore. Much like Google Hangouts these days when you try to use Google Effects.
Yeah, Google's trying to keep you in a box.
Me not like it.
Nobody puts Sharona in a corner.
Nobody puts me in a small box.
Dang right. So, yeah, Jimmy Graham's good, and the Titans don't play the Saints, I think, for like 5 years, or not 5 years, like 3 years. So that's good. 2 years, maybe. I'm trying to remember. Was it 2 years ago where they almost beat him? Yeah. So, maybe he'll be gone by then. Yeah, probably not, huh?
Yeah, I mean, who knows, right?
It does seem like the defense is still a work in progress. Are you still getting to, or did you say the training camp practices ended, like the open to the public?
They're not. I mean, they're practicing, but training camp's over. They're just it's regular practice schedules now.
Sigh.
I know. Yes, it's very sad.
So yeah, and we have some. Actually, it sounded like Bleedy might be leading that cornerback battle, not Coty. The T.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know based on what. I don't think either one of them were very good. And
who was covering anybody?
I mean, I would I would want to see the guy who's got a little bit more experience myself. But I don't think that they're going to actually. From what I saw in camp, I think that they're going to move guys around. We didn't even. I mean, there were certainly Jason McCourty lined up, and all right, you can go away. Google, oh, there we go. Google Hangouts is not my friend tonight. Jason McCourty did line up at left CB. There's no question, but they also had him at times being that roaming guy, the guy who was shadowing the best receiver on the field, and you saw them do some different things with their defensive backs this year in training camp. So I'm kind of anxious to see how they actually end up. It's storming here. My dog is barking. Sorry, everyone.
My dogs are barking.
She is very much barking. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, we'll see. There's still 2 more games, and Atlanta's got some really good wide receivers, and so we'll see how well they fare this weekend.
Yeah, come to think of it, they have they're facing like some crazy, fantasy kind of teams, and they got the Packers and the Saints, and then Falcons, and then they finish up with the Vikings. Like, Cordarrelle coming.
CP.
I'll see him in person.
Yeah, should be exciting.
Man, that's one thing of the Saints that makes them frustrating as a team when you're trying to get fantasy guys is that they just have all these guys they throw out there. Marquise Colston didn't even play, and they just had like Brandon Cooks and Joe Morgan, who's like their number 6 guy, and they just kept throwing receivers out there, and they were just wide open and making plays. Kind of frustrating, but that's all right because we won't have to see him again until, well, I guess I'll be seeing him again in week 1 because the Saints are coming to Falcons land
Oh, yeah.
to probably slap him around. But it'll be a nice high-scoring game, and that's what we like.
Well,
We
very
believe
cool.
in Travis Coons being the kicker, not the Brazilian dude. He made it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, I'm not sure that that's the guy that's going to be the guy. I mean, I guess we'll wait and see. First cuts have not taken place. There's still a lot of time to see what, what could happen. But I had started giving him the edge, and between the two, yeah, I think that that's the guy that you're most comfortable with right now.
I mean, the first game they were in this crazy storm, and I don't even think they tried a field goal. In this game, you're in a dome, and it almost was an advantageous move to have a penalty on the field goal because it made it a 50-yarder, and it's like, hey, you can make a 50-yarder, cool. Of course, everybody in the NFL can make about 60% of their 50-yarders at this point, but it's a good sign.
Well,
I know you're going to miss Baronis.
you at least want a guy who can make the extra point.
That's a bit of a problem. It was weird. I swear I saw, because they said like 8 extra points were missed from the longer length, and I swear I saw them all. Because every game had like a weird score. Like, didn't they kick a couple of field goals? No, they missed an extra point. Okay, because like Titans missed one. I think they botched a snap, and Packers missed one. But yeah, it was not a fun time. But yeah, okay. Wait, everybody, hold your breath. Get your recording devices out. Jake Locker looked good in the game.
I was wondering when this was gonna happen. Did that hurt, Zach? Are you okay? Can I get you anything? Fan, are you all right?
Oh yeah. Well, for some reason I had seen on Twitter that it was 7-0 Saints at the end of the first quarter. So the Titans were driving. I'm like, well, obviously they're going to turn the ball over. But then they scored the touchdown. I'm like, oh, I must have misread something. But yeah. That's what I liked about the drive, very decisive, and then the high-pointing catch by Hunter, the kind of textbook, get the 2 toes in there, touchdown, which I think they're going to be doing a lot. I think the league leader in those jump ball touchdowns had like 3 last year. I'm like, oh yeah, they'll be throwing a lot of those to the Hunter this year, because he's their tall guy. Man, I guess Delaney's got the height, but really in terms of the receivers, he'll be the guy.
Well, Michael Preston's pretty tall. He's what, 6'1", 6'2"?
He looked big, yeah, when I saw him. He looked tall. But I heard the stat, so in preseason...
Maybe even 6'3". I mean, he's almost as tall as Justin Hunter. Not quite.
So in preseason and regular season games, Justin Hunter has 30 catches and 8 touchdowns. That's a pretty good ratio.
Not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, that's what... that's what I had been. That's what I had been saying. I mean, if he can do what we've seen him do in training camp, and Friday night. I'm totally getting my weekends messed up. Oh, I'm sorry, Zach. Are we bothering you? Let you get your beer.
This is important work here.
It's very important work. Yes. No.
If
he can do all that stuff in the regular season, I mean, the Titans' offense is going to be pretty fun to watch.
I'd say, except for a brief stretch with Kenny Britt, the Titans haven't had that kind of receiver. So it's exciting. Hey, we have excitement here in Nashville. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to think on that. Wait just a second.
We had Randy Moss.
Well, yeah, but they didn't throw to him and use him.
That was so weird.
Brandon Jones was a good size. It's just that,
Oh, the pain. Oh, it still hurts. Oh, Brandon Jones.
Brandon Jones.
The year they drafted
Algie Crumpler.
Crumpler was so horrible, and I only remember him for that fumble in the playoff game.
I'm sorry.
He never was that dynamic. He just caught a bunch of touchdowns and was a really good blocker. Yeah, I.
Aaron Kenny.
Oh my gosh. But
Jared Cook was a
I'm
pretty
just
big,
thinking of the
tall guy.
long, lanky kind of wide receiver type. Yeah,
Jared
Titans
Cook.
have had a nice pile of athletic tight ends who can't put it all together. You know, so
Yes, I do know. Bo Scaife.
didn't they franchise him like twice? I'm pretty sure the Titans franchise tagged Bo Scaife at least
I can't
once.
remember. You could be right.
And
In all
I
fairness,
mean,
that
now
it was relatively cheap.
these days you look at like the stats that Wycheck had, and his like average stats were like, hey, yeah, Wycheck, were like what a middling tight end has now, and I'm sure Bo Scaife caught like 40 passes a year, and they decided to franchise tag him. That's the Jeff Fisher era, right?
Yes, it is.
So we think about this
Although,
running
me
back
really, I
groups,
can't remember. Was Floyd Reese still the GM then, or had Mike
probably. Yeah.
Reinfeldt taken over?
Gotta make sure nobody else signs him.
Speaking of Bo Scaife in the University of Texas,
Yes.
did you happen to catch Vince Young's latest?
Oh, Vince, so close to being a contender. So he said that he wanted to be, what is he? He would have gone back to school if he wasn't going to be the number one pick in 2006.
He said that he would have returned to Texas for his senior year if he had known that the Houston Texans were not going to select him with the number one overall selection. He was certain that they were going to do that, but they took Mario Williams instead, but and I didn't listen. I need to listen actually to the interview segment because I'm curious to hear actually what he said. But then he goes on to say, but he got drafted by the Titans, and that was a dream. I mean, it was pretty inconsistent statements. That, and I just read the dead spin. I tried to say dead skin. Oh my god. I
Wow.
just read the dead spin.
More
I know
beer.
my first beer. I know, right? I'm totally sober and I almost did that. Anyway, the Deadspin article, and those were the two blurbs that were in there, and I was like, man. But look, Vince Young's going to be all right. He's got that nice job at Texas. That's a good gig for him, and I hope that he can inspire some positive things down there.
Such a weird story. I mean, to be the big of a star. I mean, he was like the man in Texas, and probably still will be because look at the state of the
Well, he
Texas
should
bird
be.
right
Look what he
now.
did in college. He was a great college player.
I feel like he came out, on top. Would it be like Cam Newton say I should have gone back? I mean, he won the national title. Probably should have won the Heisman, but close enough. And yeah, you got to be the number 3 pick, and you got 2 8-figure bonuses from the Titans, which I guess wasn't enough. And
Yeah,
could
he
have
did
hung
pretty
out as a
well in that
backup
bonus
for
department.
5 to 10 years, but he just nope, couldn't do it. So yeah, what could have been? I'm just hoping we're done with what could have been. We're gonna have like, yeah, Jake Locker. We knew he was gonna come through in year 4. That's what we're hoping for.
Oh, come, Zach!
Or top draft pick next year. Brett Hundley,
Zach,
UCLA.
I'm not going to let you front too
He
much,
can
buddy.
run. Why?
Zach is now completely and totally on Team Jake after his excellent performance in the first quarter of the Titans' second preseason game in New Orleans against the Saints.
I'm sorry, I've just been beaten down by this team too much. I can't be that confident. I do have the jersey, and I don't know if I should wear it to my draft or not. Will that be bad luck? I'm pretty sure I wore it when it said Young on it. Should I wear it as Locker?
So I'm curious, if I do come down to Hotlanta for the game and I wear my Vol stuff, am I going to be safe or not?
Yeah, you'll be fine.
No, none of those UGA fans going to be woof, woof, woof at me?
I guess. I don't know. They're not that. I don't know. It just hasn't been
They
that strong
bark,
lately.
Zach. You know as
They
well as I
bark.
do that they bark.
Uh, Yet the jersey number you're going to see most of all in the stands will probably be number 7.
Mike, Vic.
They still can't get it. They can't move on. Maybe because Matt Ryan is just a really boring person,
Kind of
but
boring. Yeah. Matty
sounds like
Ice
he's
is a little
taken him just
boring.
as far as Vic did, and he
Al-
didn't knock him down
Although
as
he was
much.
very from I have not been, have you been watching Hard Knocks at all?
I hear reviews on Twitter, and they're so like that I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I have not watched any of it either. It
I got so
sounds
much.
completely horrible this year.
I got all this fantasy fun to do. I gotta,
We did find out that one of their coaches, Brian Cox, first started having sex at the age of 10.
what? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Wait, was he the guy that gave the double bird to the Bills? Because he was on the Dolphins, I remember. Back when I was a Dolphins fan, I think. Wasn't he that
Dunno.
guy? Because he was one of the
Dunno.
middle
But for,
linebackers who had the giant neck brace
what
on
I
his
was going to
back that
say
nobody
is
wears
that I
anymore.
hear from the Hard Knocks
I
reviews
hear.
that Matty Ryan was very leaderly last night. That he was such a leader.
Well, I hope so. Because they're going to need to score a lot of points. I feel
Yeah,
like this
I kind of
defense.
compared the Falcons and the Titans as being somewhat similar, in that they've got some offensive weapons, but boy, their defenses are really kind of stinking it up right now, and the Falcons are not looking, excuse me, very good at all. So, kind of curious to see how this game does go down. Do you like my earrings, Zach? I've got my UT earrings on too.
All the way, UT, huh?
All the way
Watch out,
UT.
Utah State, right? Isn't
I
that
did not
next
wear my
week?
UT bracelets.
Okay. Me neither. Oh, wait. I don't know. I'd have to lose a bet to wear some New Tennessee, I think. That color is just harsh. I had to wear like double sunglasses when I went to Knoxville. And
Are
I'm
you
sure
trying
I
to
will
say
again.
that the color orange does not look good on me?
Well, all colors,
Uh-huh.
you do them just about as good
Nice
justice as anyone
save.
can. Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
know.
Allison has you trained well. Very nice save.
Well, it looks good on you.
Yeah, honey.
uh,
No, I mean it's gonna be. I'm very anxious for this game in a good way because I do want to see how, excuse me, how the Titans offense does against middling Falcons defense and how well the Titans secondary is able to cover their offensive weapons, and it's going to be a big test for the secondary.
well, maybe
I
it
would
makes
like,
it.
and I'm curious to see. The Titans I mean, they blitzed a little bit, but not a whole lot. They're not getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I'm anxious to see if we start to see them install some of their. Ray Horton is known for the various fronts and blitz schemes and things that he runs. We haven't seen a lot of that. We did see the Saints do some game planning last weekend. The Titans, not so much. I'm curious if we're going to see a little bit of that. I suspect that we probably won't see much until after first cuts. And I'm curious what you think. It sounds like used to be the conventional wisdom was that teams would start playing their starters a little bit more in the third and fourth preseason games, but it's sounding like now that you're not going to see starters much at all in that final game, which is a little odd to me. What do you think?
I feel like that's been happening for a while. Like, was it a couple years ago that Washington didn't play Alfred Morris, and that was a big sign that he was going to be their starter on opening day? But of course, I drafted Rashad Jennings instead. Oops. So yeah, usually it's that third game. They get about half a game for the starters, and then week four
Rashad
they're not
Jennings
playing.
never played for the
Well, I
Redskins.
was saying that, like, in my fantasy draft, I think
Oh,
the
I got you.
MJD was hurt, and Rashad
My
Jennings,
bad.
I've been hearing for years
I
about how
got you.
good he was, and boy,
Okay.
was he not good. And then Alfred Morris became the waiver wire wonder, and I had the number 2 waiver pick that year. So
Yeah.
I always do. I'm always so close, but hey, I'm going to step it up this year. So yeah, this is the game to see because you're going to see the most of the starters. I'm kind of intrigued by the Falcons because they're a weird. Like the Falcons are like a really nice house that's like starting to fall apart, but you can't see it. Like they don't have any depth at all. It seems at any position, but for some reason, like they traded up for Sam Baker, and he's been pretty bad at left tackle, and he gets a big extension, and he's torn his patella 2 years in a row, and all the Falcons fans are like, no big deal. He wasn't that good. It's like, well, why did you sign that guy to a big contract? It's like, I don't know. It's maybe it's that Joe Flacco rule. It's like, well, if you're at least average and maybe a little bit better, then you're gonna get the big money because the guy behind him is probably a lot worse. But yeah, it's like
I'm
without
so
Tony
sorry about my
Gonzalez,
dog barking.
the double cover. I mean, you have to double like Julio and double Roddy White and what leave everybody else open. I mean, who cares? Throw it to 85-year-old Steven Jackson.
I mean, I think that you're gonna. I don't. I think that. By the way, I meant who was the safety that Mark Ingram blew past? Do you remember?
I don't remember. Was that Chris Johnson or? I'm sorry. Huff is wearing number 28, so I saw a sack that he made. I'm like, Chris Johnson made a sack. I'm like, oh, that's right. He's not on the team anymore. I don't remember who was at safety. I just remember that Mark Ingram, who's made like 2 moves in his
It would
entire
not have
NFL
been Huff
career,
because Huff has not been playing safety. He's been
faked
playing
out
corner.
faked out. I mean, just faked him out and like walked in the end zone. I was like, oh boy. But hey, that'll just get people to draft Mark Ingram too early for the 4th straight year.
Hmm.
Those Alabama running backs, I'm telling you, I drafted, like literally in a fantasy league, I drafted Ingram 1 year, I drafted Richardson the next year, and then I got Lacey last year. And Lacey finally, did something. But the rest, would have made a
The
man an Auburn fan, all that nonsense.
Speaking of which, and we're not. Well, we'll talk. We should talk about the Colts trade last night in
Oh,
our
yeah.
fantasy
Barn
football.
burner.
Yeah, in our fantasy football segment. We should finish. We should give our due diligence to the Titans.
Well, we haven't really talked, have we talked much about Bishop Sankey, like making a fumble in the ball
Hmm.
and being clearly like the third guy. Is that really going to continue to the season? Because you got
Is that
Sean
really?
Green
I mean,
had a
if
knee
you have a
injury.
big shot look on your face, you should have been paying more attention to me.
Oh, what are you saying again? You saying Sankey and all that?
No, I'm just saying that he's going to be a good player in this league. He was just overhyped.
Well, I think we're always looking for that rookie running back to take things by storm. We had a really good rookie crop of running backs last year. And Sankey's the only guy who looks like he has a chance to be a starter from day one. So that's been priced into his fantasy stock where he's like a 4th or 5th rounder. But yeah, it doesn't look like. I'll say he's going to get some touches. I just don't think he's going to get starter touches on week 1. I mean, because they're playing the Chiefs and it's the Dexter McCluster revenge game, he'll probably get like 15 touches.
Hmm. Well, it sounds like Sean Green's going to be okay, and Dexter McCluster has his role. And I think that the more to me, the more curious question is going to be, do they keep 4 running backs up on game day?
Well, I saw a 53-man projection from Music City Miracles website, and they mentioned the Titans were going to keep 5. So they have a weird, roster setup right now. So they have Sean Green is obviously there, McCluster's there, Sankey's there, Jackie Battle, who nobody gave me the note that he's now a fullback, so he can make the team there.
Well, he's
And
a
then
fullback slash halfback.
Leon Washington's like a returner, but they put him in it. He's kind of like the McCluster backup. So I can see all 5 of those guys making the roster, and they're doing the Ray Horton. Everybody's a little versatile, can play multiple positions. I mean, it seems like early in the year, what people were saying is Sankey looks like a better receiver than runner. Of course, they have McCluster in that role, so yeah, it's going to be a McCluster, what, in terms of determining who's everybody's fantasy value early.
Zach is on one tonight, I'm telling you.
Thank you.
Since I'm already screwed up from Google Effects, let me just go ahead and...
Oh, Google Effects. Yeah, it's worth it.
There you go.
Smaller screen. It's like the old days of TV where you had to get close.
I know I don't like it. I'm not a happy camper, but I want you to see and acknowledge that I'm being I'm being far better of a trooper tonight than I was the first time it happened.
Well, you gotta roll with the punches, You've been following the Titans and you've been following Tennessee football for the past few years, from rolling with the punches. You gotta, move on. The glory days will come back, or they won't. But
glory days.
Bad football or no football.
Pass you by.
But one moment for a serious moment. Tim Shaw, former Titans linebacker and special teams guy, diagnosed with ALS at age 30. As everybody's seen, even my CEO at work was talking about it today, the whole ALS ice bucket challenge thing's been going around. So that's good, and we're wishing him luck, because he's going to have a tough time for a bit, but it seems like he's in good spirits, and I think he was with the team today to kind of get together and recall those days of glory.
Yeah.
Was it last year because him and Patrick Bailey, I was having trouble determining those two. They were like the two linebackers they signed that one year to be like special teams guys, and they've been with the team for a while. But Patrick Bailey's still on the team.
Some people still think that he's going to make the squad. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Well, the Titans seem to have like 35 linebackers on their roster right now, so we'll see exactly what happens. So yeah, I think I've already mentioned the fact that I'm having a big fantasy draft on Saturday, so I will probably not be totally 100% when it's time to watch the Titans play the Falcons. But I'm guessing Julio Jones will be dunking over the goalpost like Jimmy Graham and getting some penalties. I just hope he doesn't hurt his foot. That's one of those things about fantasy football. Do you really want to draft the guy who has a screw in his foot? Well,
no.
Not so much.
I'm kidding. You're Julio Jones, right?
Yep. Keep saying like Julius Jones was that running back for the Cowboys who destroyed me fantasy-wise, like in 2006. We'll move on. Julio, yeah. Yeah, they have really good receivers, the Falcons, But boy, they talking about no backup. Well, when you have Roddy White,
and they've got a big tight end that the Titans are going to have to try to cover in the end zone.
I feel like
Tulio.
I feel like who was that guy that was from Georgia? He was like 6'9", and everybody thought he was going to be a stud in the NFL, but he just could not. He had no lateral agility at all. I don't know if Tululu. Basically, Tululu is the turn around the end zone, put your hands up.
I like my
really
pronunciation
high,
better.
Play. Tululu, yeah. Anyway, yeah, we're being really sensitive. It's lovely. So you already put your 2 cents in with me. So this is a bizarre year for the Titans. We're going to see the Cowboys and Steelers in town, and we know how their fans are. So when it comes to their fans...
And the Jets. Jets.
Oh, yeah.
The Giants.
Well, I'm already anticipating the, I think it's week 5 game. If it's the Browns and it's Johnny Manziel's first game as a starter, it could be kind of weird, too.
Yeah.
That's when you know the NFL rules overall.
I don't know why everybody seems to think that he's just automatically going to be the starter coming off the bye against the Titans. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just wishful thinking, maybe. It's ridiculous.
Should we call it, I have a term, it's called the Tebow fallacy. It's if a player is really good in college, you just assume he's going to be really good in the pros, and especially with quarterbacks, that doesn't happen. I mean, I remember didn't Gino Toretto win the Heisman once, and he was like a seventh-round pick, and Charlie
Jason
Ward
White. I mean,
taken.
there have been a ton of Heisman Trophy winners who have not done that well in the NFL. And I mean, it's just here recently that it's really started to pick back up and they've started doing well.
Plus, it's very unusual for like a redshirt sophomore to come in the NFL because one of the things teams usually look at is how many starts a guy has, and usually he has to have like 25 or 26 starts or 78 starts, like Peyton had for Tennessee. And yeah, Johnny Manziel was a starter for 2 years in college, and everybody runs these crazy spread offenses. I remember the John Gruden quarterback camp with Cam Newton. He asked Cam Newton what his favorite play was, and Cam Newton said 7. And that was just what a play was called, 7. Now in the NFL you have to say a paragraph or a Russian novel for each play, but yeah, in college they kind of simplify it. So I could see, I don't know, maybe we were a little bit spoiled by Andrew Luck and RG3 being like instant starters and Russell Wilson.
Well,
and then last year the quarterbacks
saying,
were what quarterbacks are as rookies. They struggle.
I'm not saying that it's out of the questions. I just think that, I mean, because you are seeing Blake Bortles and Teddy Bridgewater really push the quarterbacks that are in front of them. And Brian Hoyer does not have a ton of NFL experience on the field, although he has been in the league and he is a vet in that Charlie Whitehurst sort of mold and sense. But I think that you have to acknowledge that naming Brian Hoyer the starter means that he's going to get the first team, or he should. I mean, they're really doing, if they do not do this, they're really screwing Brian Hoyer and doing him a disservice. He's going to get the first team reps. He's going to be out there building the chemistry with the offense. If they're winning games, I say if they're at least 2-2 going into the bye, and Brian Hoyer is helping them win football games, it makes no sense to start Johnny Manziel, because at that point you've got a quarterback who's he's leading the team. I think that Brian Hoyer would have to stink it up pretty badly for them to make that switch that early.
Well, first of all, I acknowledge nothing, because that's me. And second of all, you could tell the team was discombobulated by that quarterback thing. Like, they kept switching the quarterbacks in and out every series. It's like, I thought Hoyer was going to get like 2 series, and then Manziel, and that was it. They kept switching them back and forth, and you could tell the players were like, what? And the guys weren't throwing the ball very well, and the whole Monday night thing definitely made it worse. And it's so bizarre because the team has, Josh Gordon on the field, and I'm like, should you be using him?
Could he have looked less interested in being on the field, though?
Ugh, man. I'm just hoping, because I have a draft on Saturday, and I want to know what his situation is by Saturday, just so I can determine. Because if there's no knowing, it's kind of dumb. Plus, it's dumb for him. It's dumb for the NFL. Some players, they just like, you're suspended, and then other guys, it seems to drag on for years.
I think that they're trying to work something out. That's what my gut.
They should get some goodwill after the whole Ray Rice debacle.
So, yeah.
Debacle. But as I mentioned on Twitter, Cleveland has been the talk of the town. And you can tell the NFL is way ahead of Major League Baseball because nobody said a word about the Royals in 25 years. But in the NFL, every team gets a turn. And Titans, it's been a while. But hey, our time's coming, right? Our time's coming. So, what should I do? I have a fantasy football keeper redraft on Saturday, and this is my big event of the weekend. I'm taking off Friday. We're all starting the party on Thursday. We're going through the weekend.
Maybe I should.
What can I do?
I'm almost starting to get afraid to come to Atlanta. There's going to be a bunch of drunk fantasy
You're going to hear the
footballers down there.
shockwaves.
Good Lord.
Well, the first draft we did was in 2001. That's how long we've been doing this. So we used to do the draft at like 9 in the morning. We'd do our draft, then we'd take a break, nap time, then we'd all get together with the families. We decided a few years ago to move the draft to noon and have the family party immediately after the draft, which is probably a bad idea considering how much we drink. But that's what we're doing. It's tradition, you know?
Tradition. Have to honor tradition.
And we're starting a little bit earlier because of because we keep 3 players, but this is our redraft. So the last time we did this, we started really heavy on the quarterbacks. Like, quarterbacks went insane. And I'm kind of hoping that happens so I can draft a bunch of other guys. That's my dream.
Draft a bunch of what?
Other guys.
Oh, other guys.
I don't know, it's weird. It's like with quarterbacks.
Have you decided on your fantasy team you should call it the other guys?
I have my initials. I just don't have the words for the initials yet. Maybe not family friendly, but anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, we are a family show, Zach. So
that's right. I don't know. I'm almost more concerned about my beer choices than my actual choices. But last year I was making a championship run, and I made a couple of trades. So I actually traded away my 5th and 6th round picks, and I have an extra 7th and 10th. So really, those first 4 picks are where it's at. So I'm not sure. They're all like the strategy that's been talked about a lot, and be interested to hear your thoughts. Is the 0 running back theory?
Mm-hmm.
You basically hit the crap out of every other position and wait on running backs because running backs get hurt a lot. So you grab a bunch of middle round guys and hope the waiver wire hits for you. And then you have really strong wide receivers who are usually consistent, or grab one of those top tight ends, or grab one of those top quarterbacks. And you'll be set at every other position, and then you grab a bunch of running backs in the middle.
I think that it depends, I think that a lot of it depends on what kind of league that you're in, how many teams are in your league. Who's available, personal preference. I don't have a problem with someone doing that. There are running backs whose ADP to me is off the chart, way too high, and I would avoid those guys in favor of someone else. So I can understand. I do think that the running back position being devalued is, we're starting to see it more and more, and it's carrying over, into fantasy football much more than you've seen in the past. I think that that's a trend.
Well, it's a 12-team league. Start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. We did add a flex, which is a running back.
Where are you drafting? Do you know yet?
I don't know. We're going to do what we did about 2 redrafts ago. We're going to grab a shot glass, do a shot, look at the bottom, see what the number is. And then you get the pick. Basically, the number 1 guy gets to pick his spot instead of just getting the number 1 pick. So, yeah, I'm going to find out on draft day where I'm picking.
Well,
I kind of want, I don't know, I like the end of the first round because you could get 2 pretty good running backs, or
doubling up is fun.
Or you could just grab, Demaryius Thomas and like Brandon Marshall or Jordy Nelson. Just those second round receivers seem a lot more safe than the running backs. Like guys like, especially after tonight, Le'Veon Bell, Arian Foster, Doug Martin, Andre.
Yeah,
Ellington,
it's going to be interesting in the Steelers' backfield if everything that we've heard is true. I have not been on Twitter. I don't know what the latest is, but reports from earlier indicated that Bell and LeGarrette Blount were arrested for pot possession, and one of them for DUI. I forget which one it was.
That was Bell.
Yeah, what's that? That's even worse.
I was like, this is the first time I've heard of two like guys from the same position getting busted at the same time. So way to go, team togetherness.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
forget
you
it.
know LeGarrett's going to get blamed completely for all of that.
Well, it's funny because wasn't it like a year or two after getting the Super Bowl winning catch, Santonio Holmes got busted for pot, and the team basically got rid of him for nothing. It's like, well, what are you gonna do now? And it's, Le'Veon
Yeah, but
Bell's a
he's
second-year guy. He's pretty good. Blunt's bounced around, so he's maybe
somebody picked up
expendable.
Santonio Holmes. Who won?
The Bears. Oh
The
my.
Bears. That's right. That's right.
I don't know what that is. That makes no sense.
That didn't make any sense
It's
to me.
weird. It's like finding a guy who was like a number one pick who's okay being a backup quarterback like David Carr. It's like so Santonio Holmes is like a number one receiver and making all this money, and now he's okay signing a deal. I mean, it's like yeah, NFL money is better than nothing, but it's weird to see these guys taking these reduced roles. But yeah, it's a big day. We've been getting together for years. We just get together at a friend's house and we basically eat and drink a ton and we draft a ton and we make fun of each other. And
Well, it
yeah,
sounds like a good time.
and my
Sounds like
dad is my
fun.
driver, so that's nice. And he's also a two-time champion since I've joined. And we've been in the league so long that I've won twice, but I've been married 10, almost
So,
11 years, and I haven't once been married. So I'm just like Tom Brady. Cursed.
oh my God.
The marriage curse.
So, is this the league that your dad's in?
Yeah,
Okay.
my dad, aka OBL, who used to look like Rob Ryan, but he's actually lost some weight, so not quite. He doesn't quite have the hair isn't as crazy anymore.
Uh,
His hair is a little under control.
okay.
But yeah, I think maybe
Was your
one of
dad
the
a
reasons.
hippie? Is he a hippie?
Of course, my parents are big hippies.
I think you're lying to me.
Back in the day, my
Are you
dad is
lying to me?
actually. Oh, definitely. I mean, come on, they graduated in like 1970. I mean, come on. They were the hippies.
All right.
They had crazy hair and all that good stuff.
Okay. I can respect that. I can dig it.
And my dad's actually had Drew Brees through our last two like keeper cycles, so he's had him for like 8 years. So I kind of wonder, is he going to take him one more time? Like when it comes to, I mean, I can see with the dynasty league, you don't want to take those old guys who are about to retire, but like in a keeper league, do you really care about players who are about to retire? Because you can get keepers somewhere else.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, you're not going to keep everybody,
like
I
would
mean,
you shy
I think,
away from Peyton because he might quit after this year? Well, I don't know. I've been hearing good things about Peyton. I'm hearing his arm strength's up, so watch out. Watch out for Peyton.
how many players do you protect in your league?
Just three, and it's only one per position. So, and I've been the weirdo who hasn't been keeping a quarterback lately because I'm believing in that late round quarterback mojo. Although I always draft the guys who get hurt.
I do not believe in the late round quarterback thing. I am not on. I've never really been a big fan of that. I think that you get a sucky quarterback.
Well, you have to take a chance, I guess, and you have to believe in maybe. It's true having that one guy you can start and not worry about is a nice thing, but at the same time, do I want to take? If I want Peyton or Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to take them in the first or second round. I'm like, man, the running backs and the receivers, and I've had Jimmy Graham for like 4 years, man. I'm so sad.
Excuse me. Pardon
I'm
me.
so sad. I'm losing him. Him and Dez, but Dez for a couple years. Oh, I'll tell you, I'm not sad that Trent Richardson's gone. I had him last year. Terrible. Of course he was
Yeah,
not.
speaking of which, what do you make of the Colts trading for Kentwan Barner? Is that his name?
Wasn't it the Eagles who traded for him? They traded for
Oh, it was the
David
Eagles.
Llewellyn out of Toledo.
Yeah.
I know these things in a very deep dynasty league, and we own every player in the world. So yeah, it was like I think the Colts were going to cut this kicker, and the Eagles are about to cut this running back, and so they just traded the guys, and they're probably going to cut them both next week. So it's kind of a whatever trade, and yeah, of course I'm a Missouri guy, and Henry Josie is a guy who basically tore every ligament a couple years ago. and he came back, and I picked him up in my dynasty league, and I'm like, is he going to make the team? And then the Eagles traded for Barner, and I'm like, well, are they going to keep him? But I've heard Polk's hurt, so it seems like the Eagles are having some injury issues there, running back. I thought they had it all figured out with all the high-tech nonsense, mumbo-jumbo nutrition stuff, but
I do not understand all the sports writer love for that.
you like the old school no water practices, rub some dirt in it.
Legitimately befuddles me that anybody is out there praise. I mean, and the Packers have adopted some of it, but they don't. It does not sound like they have gone as far. I think what Chip Kelly has done is a little far out there. The Packers are doing some of it too. It didn't sound to me like it was as troublesome from a privacy and personal autonomy standpoint.
Tracking them 24/7 and watching what they eat. Which I don't know, as a professional athlete,
Making them pee? I mean, and they have to pee after, I mean...
This is news to me.
Monitoring their pee? I mean, they monitor their pee. They're wearing heart monitors, GPS. I mean, it's scary.
We do hear a lot about players like dehydrating. You're like, are you serious? You're a professional athlete? But those guys burn off a lot. Yeah. So I could see them, testing that sort of stuff. I don't know. Anyone who changes the game, I remember the spread offense was around, and it was like, well, that's not going to work in the NFL, and then the Patriots were doing it when they went undefeated, and all of a sudden it was cool. Like the Wildcat was a big deal, and then that kind of faded out, but then now we're doing this kind of read option stuff with quarterbacks, because you have that running quarterback, although Nick Foles isn't exactly fleet of foot. I think my mom's about equal in the 40 speed, but he had some rushing yards last year, so... Well, misdirection never hurt anybody. So you're ready? You coming? You sure you want to come down to the hot land?
I'm rethinking my strategy. I am rethinking my strategy.
It's just one draft and one quiet corner of Atlanta. It's going to be all right.
So, do you watch a lot of Atlanta's local coverage? How do they do? Is the local coverage pretty good for the Falcons?
I don't really pay as much attention to it. I've not been, watching Titan stuff. Other than that, I've been kind of keeping track of the NFL as a whole. So I don't know. I follow a few people who cover the Falcons, but I don't pay that much attention. I'm not sure what the feeling is going to this year, because they were kind of all in for the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and then last year they were in the same boat, and it just all fell apart because they had injuries and, like I said, not much depth. And it seems like they kind of need to rebuild almost. Like they need to rebuild their defense. Their offensive line wasn't very good. They got an old.
They needed to rebuild their lines.
Yeah. I mean, O.C. Umenyiora was supposed to be like a savior, and he didn't really do anything. I think they're switching. These teams that keep switching from the 4-3 to 3-4, it's a pretty good sign that they're kind of flailing.
I don't know. I don't know that any team really runs the same. Most teams run a little bit of a hybrid anymore. I don't know that any team runs a strict 3. Now, the teams that run a 4-3 definitely tend to run that 4-3 base. But, I mean, you're seeing teams anymore that run the 3-4, that run a variety of fronts. And, I mean, I think that we talked about this before. I mean, you're seeing a lot of teams run the nickel as their base now. More and more common.
Yeah, I've heard nickel corner sticks around for like 60%. So maybe it doesn't matter the Bleedy Cody matchup. Like they might switch like depending on the personnel, who covers the slot and who covers the outside guy. Because a lot of teams, the slot player is like their number one guy. Like Kendall Wright's going to play a lot of slot. And bizarre Twitter went after Kendall Wright today. It was very strange for a while. There was a lot of like Kendall Wright hate. Like
why?
People not believing that. They believe that his volume last year was mainly because Fitzpatrick was in the game, and he pretty much targeted Kendall Wright, Delaney Walker, nobody else.
That's pretty true.
And the fact that he had 2 touchdowns last year, and touchdowns are.
But in all fairness, who wanted to throw to Kenny Britt? And
that was a wasted. Yeah, that was a bad choice.
I mean, what were your other options out there? And then
Wasn't much.
and Craig Stevens struggled some, and so you saw them shy away from that. And Taylor Thompson wasn't on the field. I don't know was what was really entirely going on. I mean, it was, and then you couldn't always trust Chris Johnson. So I mean, it's hard for me to fault Ryan Fitzpatrick because Kendall Wright and Delaney Walker were two of the guys, and Nate Washington too. I mean, he had his moments, and I think that he only scored two touchdowns as well.
Not sure, but yeah, he had a really quiet for a guy who almost had 1,000 yards.
All right, I
Washington
know
was
he had
like
a ton of yards.
everybody's like, can we get him out of the way so we can get these younger guys in?
But who was he going to throw to? I mean, it's hard for me to fault Ryan Fitzpatrick for choosing Kendall Wright and Delaney Walker, who were two of the guys who were really hustling out there.
I mean, you watch like Kendall Wright's college tape, and it's him just deep passes after deep passes. And yeah, in the NFL, he's been a short guy, but I think they're gonna, there was one play against the Saints that I liked because Locker was scrambling to his left, and he could have probably run for a first down, but he kind of squared his shoulders and went for the end zone for Britt, or not Britt. Oh boy,
for Wright.
A bad memory. Wright was in the end zone. It was knocked away, but I was like, all right, go downfield. I like that.
Yeah.
I like
Although
the
I think that play to me exemplifies why you would want Justin Hunter to be that guy, because I think that Justin Hunter would have made that play.
I don't even know if that was the design. I mean, defender knocked it away, but it is true. You go to the end zone on those kind of passes, you want that tall guy, and kind of Wright's not going to be that tall guy. Justin Hunter is. Hey, you just got to go UT, right? You guys had Derek Rogers, you had Cordell Patterson, you had Justin Hunter, you got some guys.
I know, they sucked awfully for having all that talent, didn't they?
I hear Tyler Bray is, well, anyway. Tyler Bray's Tyler Bray.
Tyler Bray might not make it.
Don't tell me he's going to lose his job to another SEC guy.
And Derek Rogers is struggling too.
Yeah, he is. But it just goes to show, like in the NFL, like if you're an undrafted guy, it doesn't matter what your pedigree is. If you're not doing the job, you're gone. Because the Bills picked up Derek Rogers, and everybody's like, oh, he's going to be a starter, and then they cut him. It's like, well, that's what you do with a guy who's undrafted. You don't have anything invested in him. So, anyway, so we should be wrapping things up. So, Miss Sharona, what's happening with you? What's going on with your writing and talking and all that good stuff?
My writing and talking. Well, tomorrow morning on Game Over with Zach and Sharona, we're very proud to welcome Lisa Horn to the show to talk some college football. Very excited to talk to her, and I'm finishing up all my Canton stuff, and I just did nice little feature for NFL Female on Michael Strahan that you should definitely take a look at, if I do say so myself. And I've got another Canton article that's going to be coming out soon. And then, of course, the game and Titans and AFC South and NFC South. I'm going to be doing a Titans versus Falcons preview show Friday night on the Extra Point, so stay tuned in for that.
Stay tuned in, everybody. You can find me on fantasysports.org. I've written an article about 75 fantasy team names, yet I can't come up with one for my own team. Interesting. And I wrote an article on doing types of leagues, so I covered dynasty leagues, doing an interview later this evening, because, hey, I can do 2 interviews in a night, right?
Yeah, it's because you're a hustler.
Yes.
You're out here hustling and grinding.
Joe Pisapia.
A player got to do multiple hangouts and podcasts.
It's all about the hustle.
The hustle. Do the hustle.
Joe Pisapia, who has written a fantasy football black book. He had done it for baseball, and now he's switching to football. Coach Esser, who I've interviewed in the past, helped on this book. So we're going to do a chat tonight to talk about his RPV stat and how it can help you win fantasy, because we want to win fantasy. We'll see. He's a New York guy. I
We
wonder if
all
it's the
like to
Jets or
win.
Giants. Very important question. Um, anyway, so yeah, we sports on Sharona on the Twitters. You find her. You know what's going on. Zach_Law on the Twitters for me. Titans football in Atlanta. Oh yeah.
Tighten up,
Trust
baby.
me, the town will be safe for you. I swear. Anyway, go Titans. Go
All right.
football. It's always
Go
fun.
sports.
And good night, everybody. I'm out of beer, so that's I guess that's a wrap.
I am too, almost. Night.